Welcome into the New Orleans Saints podcast. You'll hear from players, coaches, broadcasters, and writers that cover the NFL on a daily basis. The New Orleans Saints podcast starts right now. Here's your host, Erin Summers.
Welcome into this edition of the New Orleans Saints podcast. I'm Erin Summers. We have a really special podcast for you today. Two very well-known Saints players, linebacker Demario Davis and quarterback Derek Carr, both on the podcast today, sharing about an event that they have coming up. It's a night of worship, something that Demario Davis and his family have been thinking about for a while, something that Derek Carr has done throughout his football career, various locations prior to coming here. And now they're bringing this awesome event to New Orleans. It is going to be June 11th at Mahalia Jackson Theater. It is a free event from 7 to 9. However, it has already sold out. So fortunately, no more tickets available, but it is something that we're going to cover from the Saints. So you will have some video and some things to look at there on NewOrleansSaints.com after it's done. There's going to be performances by Torrin Wells and CeCe Winans. Derek Carr is going to share the gospel. So it's going to be a really cool event that brings a lot of people together. We're going to talk about that. But of course, because we have them here, we're obviously going to talk some football in the middle of OTAs now. Veteran mini camp is coming up next week, and then they'll have a little bit of break before training camp starts. But they are getting things in place for this upcoming season. Lots of new people on staff, especially on the offensive side. So we're going to dive into that with Derek Carr a little bit, and Demario Davis is going to break down the defense. It's a really fun episode. So without further ado, let's get into it with quarterback Derek Carr. Derek, thank you so much for taking some time to join us. It's been a busy time of the year already. OTAs are underway. You've been working on an event with Demario Davis, the night of worship that's coming up here on June 11th. But how excited are you for that event to kind of finally come to fruition?
Yeah, I'm really excited. It's something that I know Demario has always wanted to do something. When I came here last year, this was on the forefront of my mind of something that I felt in my heart, but like excited to want to bring to the city. And I've done events where 8,000 seat stadiums. I've done 15,000 seat stadium, and so like it's right up my alley. We got a team of people that have done this before, and so I was like, man, how awesome would it be to bring some of our friends, some really well-known friends, to New Orleans, to our city, for our people. And through relationship, they obviously said yes, and they're coming. And so I just think it's going to be just a very powerful, very impactful night. And it'll give people an opportunity to hear me speak and hear my heart and get to know me just a little bit more. And I think that's what I'm excited about.
How important is it for the fans, the people of the city to get to know you a little bit better?
Yeah, that's, I think when we first got here, everything was such a whirlwind. And, back in Vegas and back in the Bay, I was preaching like once a month, and so people really got to hear my heart. They got to understand. They got to know who I am, why I do what I do, how I do what I do, and all of those things, what makes me who I am. And I haven't had that opportunity. I've only gotten to preach one time in the whole year, because we're moving. There's so many moving parts with the kids now playing sports, and we're trying to find what league do we? Oh, that people play at parks. Okay, I didn't even know that was a thing, and so finding a church, finding schools, doing all that. Like this year, I was like, I really want the city to feel who I am, and feel my heart. And so, being able to preach just across the street, recently was very important to me. Had some teammates and coaches there, which they get to understand who I am and feel who I am, my background, things like that. And now the city will get to see a little bit of that. We're doing that. We're doing different things in the community. We've done different things and some storm efforts that we've helped, and just that's my heart, is to help people. And so hopefully this off season, my teammates, my coaches, the organization, and more importantly our city will get to understand who I am a little bit.
Demario Davis is the leader of the defense. You obviously leader of the offense. It's really cool to have two people that share their faith the way that you both do, and do take football so seriously, that the team respects. The fan base obviously loves Demario. Yep. How did that relationship develop between you two?
Yeah. So, one thing that has always bonded us, from afar was our faith. Obviously respect as players playing against each other for many years now. And then when we became teammates, once things really slowed down for me, him and I started getting an opportunity to sit down and have time together. And, that last half of the year, we were having breakfast together. We were spending our time together. Once the season ended, we were still once a week FaceTiming each other, with kids jumping on our back and stuff like that, and just building and growing that brotherhood, that unity. And one thing that we've always been united on is the Word. And so that's something that just as friends that has always united us. And we've seen the impact of our relationship now impacting our team, because people, are understanding oh man, like offense, defense,
right.
They're getting along, we see them yelling at each other at practice and stuff, but now, oh wow, they're friends, like all that kind of stuff. And so I think it's just been so healthy and so good for our team and unity coming together. And I think that that's why this event is even more important for our city, to see Demario and I coming together. Like our team is solid, a group of men that love one another. We love the Lord, and we've never been ashamed to show that, because as people will learn this week or next week when it comes up, that I've done my fair share of dumb things, and they get to see a different side, I guess.
We've all been there, so it's okay.
Yep.
You're kind of showing the fan base just a different side of the team, not just on the football field, but who you guys are as people. And you mentioned how it can bring the team together. You talked about how going into this off season, you told all of the players, if you want to do something, call me, I'm there. Yep. What are some of the things you did? What's the wildest thing that somebody said, hey, Derek, come here. I don't know, you moving people in and out of their houses? What are we doing?
I would have if they asked. I think there was one day I had a teammate ask me to play pickleball. Then I had another teammate say, hey, you want to golf? And I had another teammate say, hey, you want to you want to come over for dinner? And I was like, yes. So I thought I had an afternoon off, but immediately I told my wife, I'm not going to be home till late. And so communication is key, because I let her know coming into this off season, I was like, we don't have a house to look for. We're settled. I want my teammates to feel who I am, and that I am there for them no matter what. And that's something I built for 9 years in one place, and probably took for granted when I got here, like, oh, these guys know me, and it's like not the case. You gotta show them and prove to them who you are, no matter what the time frame is. And so this offseason I've been doing everything. Like I've literally gone from that golf course to that pickleball court to that cornhole event to, we're doing things like, guys are like, hey, you want to do this? What time does it start? 10? I'm like, dude, I'm usually in bed at like 7:30, but I'm like, yes, I'm there.
Yeah.
And so having guys, we had a group of family over at the house for a big dinner. We cooked them steaks, like just really creating that love and that bond that's what I am. And now more so taking that, not just from our team, but to the city. Like the one thing I've learned about New Orleans is they live and die with the Saints, and this is a big family. And what better way to open your arms and open your doors and be like, just come find out, like, this is who I am. I love you guys, and thank you for loving me even when it was hard. Thank you. Thankfully, it got better, but hopefully we can just keep the good times rolling and have a lot of fun. Yeah,
the second half of the season, the way you guys ended was great. Yeah. But speaking to that, you mentioned the fans. They love this team. They want to win.
That's right.
How hard was it through the first half of the season for you?
It was very hard because, like, with the expectations, we all felt the same way. The fans, the players, everybody, we all felt the same way. Obviously, my frustration went to an all-time high because I was like, this was not at all what I saw in practice. This is not what I expected. And their frustrations come out. It was real. We were authentic. We were all real. But one thing is I understood. I understood because the level of excellence here is different. We are here to win, period. Like, they're used to seeing points. They're used to seeing big plays. They're used to seeing wins. And I was like, we weren't giving them that. And so, for me, it started with, this, obviously we finished the half of the year better, but like going into this year, I was like, man, I'm going to be so much better for them, like at the start, and we got to be ready to go from the jump and, show them what Saints football is supposed to look like. And, when you're winning and things are going that way, things have a good, funny way of going the right way.
It's early, but adding on to that with the new offense, a new offensive coordinator and Clint Kubiak, a different system, what can the fans expect this upcoming year?
Well, it's going to be different. It's going to be a different brand of football than they're used to. But different, isn't always a bad thing, And so, it may not be the same things that they saw Drew doing and, Jameis and Andy and myself last year, like that system and how we were operating. There is going to be some differences. There is going to be some things where you're like, oh, wow, yeah, I think they're going to like it. A lot of teams have had a lot of success in this offense, and hopefully we'll be one of those. We're working really hard, I can tell you that. We're trying not to get those expectations and be crazy like we all were last year, which we should have been. We played terrible and still won 9 games.
I mean, you were supposed to be the golden ticket.
100%. Absolutely. And didn't go well at the beginning, and then it's like, oh, now you're fighting an uphill battle.
Yeah. Got to be realistic about things.
Got to be realistic. So we're keeping our intentions and our work ethic and all those things are in the right place. But we're just not going to talk about it, But it will. I can't say it. It's going to look different to the fans, but I think they'll be excited about it.
Who are you excited about? Some of the players, teammates around you, from maybe what they did last year. What you think they'll be capable of doing this year? Yeah,
I think some people that. They got some, like, it's easy to talk about Chris. It's easy to talk about Taysom, but AK. But someone, I'm really excited to see the jump Rashid makes.
Yeah.
I'm really excited about AT. Jawan is another guy. Foster is another guy. I mean, what people don't know is this man Foster played all year on an ankle that wasn't even put together. Which is insane.
I know. I think I saw him right after this season, like on crutches. I'm like, wait a second, you've been hurt this whole time?
Since week 2. Yeah. They invented a tape job just to make his whatever attached so he could actually play, which is absolutely insane that he would do that not only for our team but for his city because he's from here.
Yeah.
But makes perfect sense because that's Foster. And so he knew that wasn't going to be his best stuff that he could ever put on tape, but he was like, I'm going to be out there for my guys. And that, I think that was one thing last year that was really cool from some of the new guys, myself included, is like we showed our guys like, no matter what we look like Monday through Saturday, we're going to be there on Sunday for you and give our best, no matter what that was. And so I think one thing that all that did for us last year was just bring us together.
Yeah. With this event that you're doing with Demario, you've talked about bringing the community together, bringing two sides of the game together. What do you hope that people will take away from it after it's done?
Well, my number one thing, with the night of worship, always, whenever I preach, is when people leave, they leave thinking about Jesus. That's number one. Like, if they're like, wow, what a cool story Derek told, or that person was a good singer. It's like, that's awesome, and you can realize our gifts and our talents and things that we have that the Lord gave us, but that's not what we're doing it for. Like, I want people to leave with an encounter like I had that changed my life. And maybe it's someone that knows the Lord, but they're going through something, but God shows up in that moment for them with peace, with joy, with an answer to their prayer. That's my hope. That's my prayer, and I'm one of the wild ones. I'm going to go for it. We're going to go after everything and anything, just to see, whatever people walked in with, hopefully they leave a little bit different.
People were really excited about the event because tickets sold out within an hour. How surprised were you about that?
Yeah, me and Demario, we were talking, because the event sites that we were looking at were around 2,000 people,
right? Auditoriums.
The next jump was like 8,000 to 10,000. I was like, I've done that before, but usually with a little bit more lead time. I got more people on my team. Right now, my team is smaller because I wasn't expecting to do this quick. I would say in the summer.
Yeah.
And so, but the timing of it, I was just like, you know what, we'll just go for the 2,000. And tomorrow I was like, yeah, that's smart. We'll make sure that we can fill that up. So we expected to fill it up, but not in an hour.
Yeah.
So that was nice. So immediately we posted like, hey, tickets are available. And I sent Demario the thing from our manager, Micah, and I was like, dude, it's sold out. And he just laughed. He was just laughing. So it's a good thing, but it shows us that maybe next time we do a little bit bigger spot.
Yeah, there's got to be a next time.
Absolutely. We'll see. You never know. I can't make a promise because then someone's going to hold me to it.
Yeah.
But it's definitely what we want to do for sure.
Yeah. I'm sure the timing had something to do with the artists that you have coming, and you've spoken about how Torrin Wells was somebody that you knew.
Yep.
That relationship, it started just because he's from Texas, you're from that area, and spent some time there? Yeah,
so I got to know Torrin when I went to speak at Lakewood. So Lakewood Church, they asked me to come out and speak to their men. Just a private little thing for their men in their church. And so I did. And then obviously the pastor, he was like, hey, I really enjoy that. Will you stay for Sunday service? I want you to say something to the church. And so I did. And so I had more time to spend. Me and Torin and Nick, one of their other pastors there, and my buddy Brandon, we went golfing. So we hung out the day. We're spending time together, got to feel each other's heart and know each other and what makes us tick. And me and Torin exchanged information, and we just kept the relationship building from there. And he ended up going and starting a church in Austin, Whitestone, and starting his church. And I was like, man, anything you ever need? And he was like, dude, anything you ever need. So when this thought of New Orleans, having this event, he was the first person on my mind, because I just felt his heart was so pure and genuine. I was like, man, what an amazing talent to just come in here and blow everybody's mind. And he was like, it wasn't even a question. He was like, dude, I'm in. Like, I asked him, I was like, kind of like nervous to ask. And he's like, dude, we're friends, one. But two is like, I'm there. Whatever you need, I'm there.
That's awesome. Yeah. Golf game, whose is better? Yours or his?
Me or Torin? Me. I'm not a liar. But he's not a bad golfer. But I will say that day was actually, if you guys ever get the chance to talk to Torin, my buddy Brandon was 1 under, having the round of his life. And he had never been in humidity before, because I grew up in Houston. He had never been in that Houston summer heat, humidity, and he almost died. So we had to leave the golf course. So he had the best round of his life, but it didn't finish, so it never counted. So Torin always texts Brandon like once every now and then, just making fun of him. So
poor guy.
Poor guy. Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure some of the rookies here can relate.
Absolutely.
Now that they're in OTAs, they're like, what is this here?
We had a day last week when I was like, I know someone out here is thinking about, am I going to make it through this day?
Absolutely.
Yes.
How beneficial is it for the team, all of that, the weather and everything aside, but for the team to go to the LA area and spend that time away from family, other distractions, and be together for training camp?
I think the hard part for me is I always love practicing in front of our fans.
Yeah.
That's always fun for me. So they can just get a glimpse, of something that we're doing or a cool play that they can, kids remember that stuff for the rest of their life. Chris Olave catches a ball and high-fived them,
sure.
But there's something about taking your team into a different place, into a hotel. It's like, guys, we're playing football, and you're in this room together. You got to spend time together. And it does something to a team. And so while you want to be with your family every day, while you want to do all those things, it is a really good thing to spend that time, especially when training camp, it's 24 hours a day. I count sleep as football during that time. It's like, I'm here anyway, might as well spend it with each other.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for spending this time with us, sharing some about the event coming up on June 11th and talking a little football.
Absolutely. Thank you.
I can't thank Derek enough for spending the time with us, sharing some about the event and about football, his journey here in New Orleans, very honest about how things were for him and how the fans may have perceived things. I really appreciate that. And of course, we always know linebacker Demario Davis is going to be an amazing interview, and he definitely did not disappoint in this one. So let's get to Demario. Demario, thank you so much for joining us on the New Orleans Saints podcast.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
It's a fun time of the year right now. OTAs are underway. There's a lot of guys in the building. You guys are getting out there on the field, but you've been putting in some work off the field with our quarterback, Derek Carr, as you guys are hosting a night of worship coming up in a couple weeks. How did this event come about? When did the planning start? Because I heard you mention that this is something that's been in the works for 6 months now.
Yeah, it's been in the works for a while. I think since I've been here, I'm always thinking about how I can make a splash for the kingdom. And I have different groups that I work with in different church organizations, and we're always trying to think about evangelism in different ways, whether it's with young people, with college students, adult audiences. And so we've been trying to figure out where our end would be and a way that we can make a deeper impact in doing something for people just around the gospel and bringing people together. And we just never found the right fit. Different venues, we kind of talked about doing stuff, but it just never was right. And then so Derek was actually the one that approached me about doing something. He was going to go share at a church, and he wanted to invite me to come with him. I just told him if we were going to do something together, we had to do it right. We needed to pick a neutral site We need to get some artists involved, and good thing him and his team, they've done stuff like that before out in California, and so really just bringing it here, and then I'm kind of merging in with that, and so we kind of secured the artists, secured the venue, and looking forward to a great night. It's been, once we kind of knew it was going to be a big deal, but once we kind of put it out, it's been a ton of excitement and a lot of people. Really excited about it. So it's going to be a great night. I mean, we got Torrin Wells and CeCe Winans in the building. I think it's unique that, Derek and I will be there sharing the gospel together. I think that has its own play. But when you got artists like that, it kind of sells itself. So we just excited that we can bring something like this and really looking forward to June 11th.
When you realized that it was actually going to happen, what kind of joy did that bring you? How excited were you?
I think I won't have real relief until it's until it actually happen and it all kind of comes together. But I think when he called me, I knew instantly like this was the right thing. I just felt that peace, and so I told him, let me pray about it and let me kind of figure it out. And then we kind of brought our pastors together. So he has a team behind him, I have a team behind me. So we all got on a phone call, kind of talked about what was possible, what it needed to look like, and then we kind of dispersed from the call and just kind of prayed about it. And then Derek and I told Derek we'd get back on the phone, and once we got back on the phone, we had both been praying about it, had a lot of vision of what it needed to look like. And so we kind of outlined that. Then from there, we just went and, started securing people, securing the venue. And once we got everything in place, once we got the artists and both of them said yes, I thought that was huge. And once getting the venue was found, and we looked through a bunch of different venues. New Orleans has a bunch of places. So once it all came together, it was great.
You mentioned you're using your platform for kingdom work, and you've been a guy who's not been shy about the gospel. Were you surprised at all, I guess, that Derek was of similar feelings or similar values?
No, not at all. Actually, his reputation precedes him. So prior to Derek getting here, I'd already talked to a bunch of people that already told me, how he was about his faith. I think I didn't know how vocal he was with his faith. You run into a lot of guys who are believers and live it out, and great people, great husbands, great fathers. They put their faith on display. But he actually goes and preaches at churches. And you don't find a lot of people do that. Yeah. And so at that position that he's out, kind of sharing the gospel in that way, I thought was is very unique. And so being able to link with him on that, so much so that he's actually going to be the one that shares the gospel at the show. I'm just going to kind of come up and close. We'll both be hosting in between, but I'll just kind of come close out the evening. So I'm really excited about that. I think he has a great message for all of us.
Well, we know you can close because we see the pregame speeches, so we understand the pregame huddles. We understand you can close. Yeah. How do you go about securing two of the bigger gospel talents in Mr. Wells and Ms. Winans?
I think it just goes relationships, knowing the right people. We kind of talked about how we wanted to do something that was subliminally or subconsciously kind of dealing with like racial tension. And so you bring in two different worlds together. And, we kind of talked about how we want to do that with music. And he was like, well, I can get, Torrin Wells. I think that'll be great. He has a relationship with him. And I was like, I think I can get CeCe. I have a relationship with her. And so I think a lot of that is just relationships and knowing the right people and having people who believe in you. And, I think they both were kind of quick to jump on and be like, yeah. And so CeCe, she has a unbelievable, crazy schedule right now. And so just getting her on the book. So we kind of wanted to plan around them. But once we were able to get a date that worked and get their team kind of synced up and get all the contracts and all of that taken care of, then we were able to lock in the venue and go from there.
The black community call her Jesus' little sister. You know that, right? And I shouldn't have said Ms. Winans. It's actually Mrs. Love. She's married. Yeah. But what does a night like this mean for you, I guess, in terms of not just platform, but just being able to spread your beliefs and share them with New Orleans and I guess further out than that?
Well, I just think that it's a night of hope. You never know who's in a dark place and needs light in their life. You never know the struggles that somebody's having outside of their workplace. the struggles that they're having deep inside their family that only they know about, the struggles that they're having internally. And so we want to bring a night of joy. We want to bring a night of peace. We want to bring a night of hope. And we think that you can do that when you have great music. We feel like you can do that when you have a great message, a positive message. But I think even more when you put love on display. What people are going to see with Derek and I are that we love each other, And I think in an alpha male dominated sport, you see brute and physicality. You don't see you don't always see love. But seeing love on display outside of football is just what we do. That's how we met. But that's not who we are.
Yeah.
And so how we exist outside of this space is in our brotherhood and in our family as we love. And so I think when you see people with different backgrounds, different ethnicities, but the same values and care about the same thing and love, but can love each other, I think that's an example for people that can be helpful. No matter who you're dealing with and what it looks like, I think you can putting love on display. The Bible says that they'll know that you're my children by the way you love one another. And so the uniform that I'm always supposed to have on is love for all people, but especially those of the kingdom. And so just letting people, let people see that I think it's just going to be a great night. And, man, Torrin Wells in the building, CC, I mean, these artists are hot right now, and they make great music. And I think that they have a way of ushering people into a space of worship and joy that is unmatched. And I'm really excited for people to hear Derek share the word. I think the way that he's able to communicate with people, I don't think people know how amazingly talented he is. Like he probably could be preaching and not just being, one of the top quarterbacks in the game.
Now, is that kind of why you promote it as, hey, New Orleans, this is our quarterback? Because you kind of want people to hear his message and hear the way he addresses?
Yeah, I think people they won't know, but they will after that. You can't know because you've only seen him in the football in the football space.
Yeah.
But who he is as a person is so much louder than he is as a player. I think he's going to have a huge year as a player, but I think even more as a person, I think people need to see and they need to hear, just who is our quarterback. But I think, it's a quarterback who's having a gospel event that's securing artists in the city. That's a big deal.
Yeah.
It's like 32 other teams. Tell me one that is doing that. It's like, it's unique. And I think everything about New Orleans is unique, and it's ours. You know what I mean? And I think that's, that's kind of bragging rights. We get to say we have something that other people don't. And so I think that's super cool. And when you have that, you can't take that for granted.
Yeah. Now, Torrin Wells, I've heard him sing some songs. Incredible voice, by the way. I know he's a pastor in Houston also, but incredible singing voice. But look, I'm gonna be real, Mr. Wells. Don't be angry with me if you hear this. I'm going for Cece because that's like, that's First Family of Gospel. That is, and I mean, she has an incredible voice also. And you mentioned her busy schedule. So how do you lock down a Cece Winans to be able to participate in an event like this?
So I got a chance to go a little while ago. I'm close friends with the family, with the Winans family. The baby sister of the family, Debbie Winans, is married to our pastor in Nashville, James Lowe at Bethel World Outreach. And so she's our first lady. I'm very close with that family. And so through them, I've been able to be affiliated with the Winans family and got a chance to meet Marv and BB, see all of them. So it's been great. But I got a chance to also attend a Generations conference. My wife was there, and so I was kind of helping, just kind of helps keep the place secure a little bit. And so just kind of keep an eye on them. But they had a women's conference there, her conference that she does every year, CC. And when I tell you, man, it was packed out. It was so powerful. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, man, these women were leading in kingdom work in a way that kind of made me feel bad as a man. Mm-hmm. Like, we got to step it up.
Yeah.
And so when I talk about what I admire about CC is not just her voice, it's how she lives. She lives the holy standard. She lives the purity standard. She lives it and keeps it on display. And it's just on her. It's on her person. It's on her presence. It's on her demeanor. And so, I mean, every title, every award, every bit of recognition that comes with her name, it's probably an understatement. Yeah. Just being in her presence. So, I mean, and that's just the Winans family as well.
Yeah, 15 Grammys for her. Did you just slide in there that you worked security at the conference? Did you just, because I mean, it was going, and I was like, yeah, I think I heard him say he worked security.
No, it was they hosted it at the church. They hosted it at the church, and because I'm good friends with the pastor and their head of security, I just was kind of on site as an extra hand. But they had it fully wrapped up. They didn't need me at all. But since I was there, I really wanted to get in and kind of see what was going on. And I'm glad I did because, man, it was a treat.
Well, we've heard you share, your story, how God has been such a big part of where you are now. And we haven't heard a lot of that from Derek Carr. Mm-hmm. And we haven't seen him a lot in the community because he just got here last season. Mm-hmm. But for him to have this be the first event that he does in the community and partnering with you, I think it surprised some people just how close you two are.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a lot of feedback from some social yesterday that I put out there about how close you guys were.
Yeah.
And fans were surprised by that.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is?
I don't know. That's my brother, man. He's a great dude. So Derek is a brother. That's what he has. Like, you ask him about his close relationships, it's his brothers. And he understands that. And once I kind of understood his background, that allowed me to understand how I relate with him. Like, that's what he knows more than anything, is how to be a brother. And so we just got a chance just to connect. And we talk about stuff that we struggle with off the field. We talk about our struggles. And I think once you start to share struggles and we know we go to the same place with our issues, like he's going to push me to Christ, I'm going to push him to Christ, like that's kind of where we bond. Mm-hmm. And then our kids are in the same age, so we're kind of in the same phase of life. We're both over 30 playing the game, so we can relate to that on a physical level, on a mental level. He has to lead the offense, I have to lead the defense. And as he was kind of coming into the city, New Orleans is a different place. It's a different monster. And so just kind of talking with him, of like, and I had to have that when I came in, like Cam, Craig, Drew, they all embraced me, Teron, they all embraced me and helped me figure out how to be embraced by the city. And so that's what I wanted to do for him, is like, because I know what he cares about the game. I know what type of talent he is. I know that he can be the leader that we need him to be. And so for me, it was like, okay, how can I play a role in helping him be who he is and not have to change who he is, but to adapt more seamlessly and smoothly. And that was the kind of the base of our relationship. And then just because we're believers, I think, we just naturally bond. But I think it's kind of shocking, and that's why we wanted to do this event, is because you see all the time in sports, right? People from different backgrounds and worlds, they just kind of come together and mesh. But in society, we're very cliquish. We kind of deal with our type of culture. Like, I listen to this type of music, I'm gonna hang with people who listen to this type of music. I do this type of workout, I'm gonna hang with the people who do this type of workout. I eat this type of food, I'm gonna hang with people who do this type of food. I like dogs, I'm gonna hang with people who like dogs. It's like, you like cats? I don't rock with you. You even with the phones, right?
Yeah.
I'm iPhone, you Android. You can't be in our group chat. No. You messing up our group chat. So it's like we're very cliquish, and we kind of deal in these silos. But in sports, you really can't be like that.
Yeah.
You have to be about the whole team, right? It's whoever the best player is, we're going to build around them, and everybody else has a role. But we don't care about your background. We care about what you can do to help the team. And so, and even in if you think about like, New Orleans, it has a lot of segregated areas. But on Sunday when the game is like people sitting everywhere, it's like we're just a melting pot. And so it's like, but what does that away from sports, and what does that at an even deeper level where it's eternal? It's not just event related, right? Sports, once we come together, like, the fans kind of go back to their spaces, like, but when you endure a season, you become brothers for lifetime. That's what happens in the Christian community when lived out right. When we live out the kingdom of God properly, that's what happens, because Christ is the one that's the most important thing. It's about the kingdom of God. Now it ain't about where I grew up or who I know or my family and what I got going on. It's about representing the kingdom of God. And so he understands that and I understand that. And that's what this event is about. It's like we're not doing this event for us to be a name in headlights and say, hey, this is a big deal. And we're not even really doing it just for people, just so that we can do something for people. We're doing it because we want to reflect the kingdom of God. Mm-hmm. And in doing so, it changes how we relate to people. And so I think it is shocking for people to see. And we kind of knew that, but that's why we wanted to do this event. It made it even more necessary.
Sure. So your faith extended outside of just Sunday in the same way that sports are, outside of a Sunday when everybody comes together. If you live that every day, then the world can be a completely different place.
So much better place. And it's because you don't know someone's full story without spending time with them. Mm-hmm. Right? You can only look at them in the facet that you see them. And so until you're able to sit down with them, you can't get the whole story that makes up a person. And I think if you do that, if I sit with anybody, there are going to be things I agree with, there are going to be things I disagree with, there are going to be things I like, and there's things I dislike, right? Even when you think about the person you love the most, that's there. Mm-hmm. So of course it's going to be with somebody that you don't know or don't necessarily like. So I think it's just about spending time together and bonding, and like you said, doing it outside of just on a Sunday, doing it, making it a habit to do every day.
Yeah, I mean, you guys pulled back the curtain a little bit on what happens off the football field, in the locker room, as far as relationships and how that helps things. I know Derek went through some tough times last year, getting here, new team, some rough games, and the fans obviously want to win. Mm-hmm. And they see you doing something with Derek. And a lot of them yesterday were tweeting at me saying, well, if Demario rocks with Derek, then I guess we can be cool with him too. Mm-hmm. To have that leadership role, to have that impact on our fan base, what does that say about who you are, and then maybe what this could do, down the road for the team?
Well, I think that when you're competitive, you always want to win, right? If I go play pickleball, I'm trying to win. Mm-hmm. Now, I hate that when I go play pickleball, I get beat by old people. They turn me up and be spiking it, and I might even be the right term, but be killing it. But I want to win, right? But it's unrealistic for me to expect that I'm going to win that fast. Yeah. Well, I haven't put the time in. I haven't, learned the game enough and all of that. I'm just counting on me to being a superior athlete that's going to come in and transition right away. Well, that's the same. Like this, as the Saints, we're used to being in the conference championship. We're used to being in the playoffs every year, and we're all itching to get back to that, especially when we have so many pieces in the building. And when a quarterback like Derek comes, you think, oh, that's the piece we've been needing. You're just assuming it's going to happen right that fast. And it just doesn't. We're competitive and we don't like it, but it's unrealistic to expect that change is always going to happen that fast, especially when you see teams that get hot, right? Or a team that a quarterback just gets there and they get hot, or a rookie comes in and they get hot and they go right. So you start to compare, and so I think it's just really unrealistic. I think there were other pieces that played a part in that success. I think he needed to learn the system. He needed to learn the players. We had a lot of personnel changes, on the field and in the office. So I think all of that kind of going. But if you look at how he finished the season, right, and that was my conversation is, bro, you've been doing this for a long time. You've been consistent in this league. It's the reason why you came in. They paid you what they paid you. The team believes in you. The city gonna have your back. I think I let them know the city's just competitive. We want to win, and so the standard's gonna be high. But I started to just kind of share with him things that I thought would take some of that pressure off of him, because he wants to be great in and of himself, right? Even if the city wasn't watching, he wants to be great in himself, and that's the type of person that you want back there, because he's gonna put the time in. I mean, when you look at new coordinator coming, who's been spending the most time with him? Who's every day, first one in, last one to leave, ain't missed a day? That's what you want from that position. But if you look at how he finished the season and how he finished as far as when we were getting in scoring position, how he was closing out, and that's what you want. So I think we'll see much more of what we saw at the end of the season versus what we saw at the beginning of the season. And I think, for my job is to make sure I get him the ball as much as possible so that he can do his thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when I hear people chirping, I always tell them last 6 games, the team was 4-2. He had 15 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. I said, if you put that on any other team, if you looked at it, you would say, I want that to be my quarterback.
Yeah.
And most people kind of look at you like, oh, well, you know what? You make a point. So, everything has a perspective, and that's what that's all about. So now give us some perspective on this team for this season, because now we're in the spring. It's early. But you guys obviously have done some things on defense, have switched out some players. You got Chase Young coming in. Hopefully he'll be healthy. Got Willie Gay at linebacker. So, you lose Marcus May in the secondary, but, you pick up some pieces. Looks like, Lante Taylor should have another good year up under his belt, but now that he's got a little bit more experience. Pete Werner, yourself, who doesn't seem, are you aging at all? I mean, how do you reverse the aging process? So what, not to, I guess, give a big forecast on the team, but what are your, I guess, expectations or excitement level heading in, because every year generates a different level of excitement, or maybe the same excitement because you start with a clean slate.
Yeah, I think I'm very excited. I like where we are this offseason, man. We got defensively, I think we have a talented group. When you look up front, when you got guys coming off a big year, Granderson, you got Cam up front. Breezy had a great young start. Bink played well for us. Then you add a guy like Chase Young. You getting Peyton Turner coming back. So I think up front you just have a talented group where you can get out the quarterbacks and make plays in the backfield. I think our linebacker room is just full of talent, where you brought in a guy, Willie Gay, that's already got 2 Super Bowls, good veteran experience there. Pete Werner, coming off another solid year. I think he's going to blossom even more this year. And then we got some young guys that can play. DeMarco Jackson, Nephi, he was playing well for us before he got hurt. Anthony Orji, he looks great out there flying around. Some good young backers. So that linebacker room is going to be good for a long time. And then it's in the secondary, of course, Marshawn, Adebo, where you kind of got a corner 1A, corner 1B type of situation, which is great to have. And then Alante locking down that nickel, but can also play outside for us. And then getting the rookie that has been high praise for. And then on the back end, Tyron, one of the top in the league, and another one that's over 30 continuing to do his thing.
Also not aging, really.
Yeah. And I'm really excited about Jonathan Abrams. I think he's going to have a big year. When he was called on, he played big minutes for us. There's nobody preparing in the building the way that he prepares. So I think he's gonna have a good year for us. And Howden, and then being able to bring in a veteran like Will Harris. And so I like us. At every level we got a lot of good players, a lot of depth. So as far as a talented group, I think it's really just going to come down to us being technically sound, executing in what DA knows he's one of the best in the business when it comes to calling defense. So it's really just going to come down to us executing. And really excited about the offense. Being able to get a coordinator from that tree of offenses that's been shredding our league, having a coordinator and the way that the plays that they're calling, what we're seeing is a lot of the stuff that typically allows it. We've had struggles with, in the games. And so I think seeing that early and getting a lot of reps at that, just kind of being able to pick his brain. Derek is, of course, in the driver's seat with that. I think they got a ton of weapons over there, and I think it's really going to be well because he's kind of going to be able to grow with the system. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of where you want it, where I think last year you kind of had a quarterback that was behind the system. Everybody else knew it, and he was learning it. Yeah. Where now he's going to probably be out front with knowing the offense better than anybody, and then helping everybody else kind of get adjusted to it.
That offensive coordinator is Clint Kubiak. Obviously, the run game in those systems has been very diverse. Have you lobbied any? Because we saw a violent run by you on that fumble return. A violent run. Have you lobbied to hey, when we get down to the goal line, just think about it.
Like Bink does.
With Bink leading you up in there, how they going to keep you out?
I've always wanted my plays down in the red zone, but now I have a new desire. I think I want to be on the kickoff. See, the kickoff return.
Oh, the kickoff return.
The kickoff return is, if you look at it, they've changed it.
Yeah.
Yes, they have.
So it's really like a stretch play. Yeah. It's really like a stretch run, like a slash play that we always see Alvin running and take it to the house. And because, see, I always wanted to get the ball, but I never wanted to go against the D lineman. I don't want nobody that's 6'5", 6'6", 300 grabbing me and it feel like the Matrix. So if I don't got to worry about that, I'm good. See, you only got linebackers and DBs. I'm good. And so I feel like I was telling somebody the other day, if they gave me 3 returns, I can get at least 2 past the 30 on the other side.
All right, you better tell Riz that.
Yeah.
I told him, y'all speak up for me. Help me out.
I don't know. I feel like Riz might go for it at some point. You talk to him
It's
enough.
worth a shot. It's worth a
Riz
shot.
is innovative.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this is his whole new
Look, he's
idea.
the one who lobbied for this. He's the one who got this rule set, pretty much.
Yeah, this is
this is baby.
Yeah, so he gonna have the right person back there, I'm sure.
Well, your event's coming up on June 11th.
Mm-hmm.
That is the start of mandatory minicamp.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's going to be a long day for you.
It is. We're going to be in, I think DA told us we're going to be out by 5, so we'll be able to get over there and get set up. And so we trusting it's going to go well.
Yeah.
Tell him he got to be out earlier than that because there's some folks here in the building who got to go too. So he got to cut loose earlier than that.
Yeah. I know. I'm sure you'll have a lot of teammates that'll be angling to go as well.
Yeah.
It's going to be a really fun event. And I just appreciate you and Derek being open about who you are and your faith and doing stuff for the community here.
Yeah, looking forward to it. I mean, New Orleans is a special place, and so I always got to look out for NOLA and our people.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for joining us, talking to us.
Hey, appreciate it. Y'all be blessed.
Great stuff, as always, from Demario Davis. Appreciate him taking that time. And as I mentioned, the event is June 11th, so stay tuned. We will have coverage of it as it comes up. And of course, with Veteran Mini Camp starting that week, also starting on June 11th, we will have a ton of coverage from that as well, all on NewOrleansSaints.com.
Thanks for listening to the New Orleans Saints podcast. Join us 3 times per week on NewOrleansSaints.com, the Saints mobile app, or you can download the podcast on iTunes. We'll see you next time, right here on the New Orleans Saints podcast.